Hello and welcome back to the Unite Pieces channel. Today, we bring you a Hong Kong action drama movie starring veteran actor Jet Li, titled My Father is a Hero. The movie focuses on the story of the friendship between a policeman and his son, who is a martial arts expert. When they are assigned to take down a gang of criminals together, then, can the two of them defeat the thugs? So, without further ado, let's get into the video. The movie begins by showing a man named Kung Wei, who is waiting for the mafia to make an illegal goods transaction. On the other hand, Kung Wei's son, Kung Ku, is about to compete in the final round in the wushu competition. While Wei is anxiously waiting for the mafia, Kung Ku also feels restless and uneasy because his father has not come. Because the mafia that Wei is waiting for is very long, an angry Wei calls his boss, Commissioner Cheng. However, it wasn't long before the mobsters came and finally made a deal with Wei. When Kung Wei was about to give the money, this is where he made his move. Not wanting to miss his son's match, he immediately waited one of the mobsters and took him on his bike. When he arrived at the match venue, Kung Ku was happy that his father had finally arrived. However, it wasn't long before Wei was suddenly attacked by other mobsters, who turned out to be following Wei, making Wei fight with them again. Wei then chased one of the mafia members up to the ceiling and fought with him. At the same time, his son was also fighting with his opponent. Soon Wei's opponent fell right in the audience, and he held one of the audience members hostage. Seeing this, Kung Ku with his kung fu skills immediately helped his father and paralyzed the mobster. The next day, Wei trained his son in breathing by dipping his face in water in a basin. The scene changed to show Wei, who was going home with his wife and son on a bus. This is where it was discovered that Wei's wife was suffering from a serious illness. After getting off the bus and walking to the house, the police suddenly arrived and immediately took Kung Wei away. The scene moves to a prison, where the police are dragging a drug dealer named Darky and put him in a prison cell. On the other hand, Commissioner Cheng asks Kung Wei to escape with Darky from the prison, because the police will let them go. This was done because the commissioner wanted Kung Wei to follow Darky back to Hong Kong, in order to uncover their headquarters and capture the brain of the drug kingpin. Wei initially refused because his wife was sick. However, the commissioner promised that this would be the last mission for him. Reluctantly, Wei accepted it, then he was put in prison with Darky. In the evening, they both managed to escape smoothly without a hitch, after which they stopped by Wei's house for a moment. Wei told his son to take care of his mother. He also gave money to Kung Ku and promised to keep sending him money. After that, Wei left immediately. Long story short, they arrived in Hong Kong and met Darky's boss, whose name was Po Kwong. In the middle of their discussion, Po asked his men about how to buy sophisticated Western bombs without spending money. Here Darky suggested robbing a bank, and the money from the robbery was used to buy a bomb. Hearing this ridiculous idea, Po immediately got angry and beat him up. Then Wei, as a new member, suggested to buy a bomb with a transaction as usual, but after the transaction was completed, Wei and friends would rob him. Finally, Po agreed with the idea. The next day, Po went to the crime scene to transact with the Westerners. After the transaction was completed, Po immediately told Wei and friends to carry out the action. They immediately robbed the transaction money and there was a shootout between them. Wei managed to secure the money, but he was shot at from behind by one of the Westerners, so he made him show a bomb attached to his body to threaten them. This managed to trick the foreigner into firing his weapon, but the situation turned chaotic when the police suddenly came and shot Kung Wei, which the Westerner immediately realized and then shot him. In the midst of the commotion, Po shows up and takes the money, then makes a quick getaway. The situation looks like it's going to end just as Wei predicted, but suddenly a police car pulls up, driven by a female inspector named Fong. Here Fong offers to take her hostage in place of her boss, who is being held hostage by Wei. After agreeing, they drive away, but on the way, Wei ties Fong to a pole while he escapes. After returning to the office, Fong gets a photo of the robbers before they carry out the action. Her informant suggests that Fong head to the Chinese police to get more information. Long story short, Fong has arrived in China, where she meets Commissioner Cheng and asks about the robbery and the man in the photo. Of course, the commissioner claims to know nothing about it. On the other hand, Kung Ku gets a call from his father, who asks how he and his mother are doing. And then Wei told his son to write down his cell phone number and told him not to tell anyone about their conversation. After finishing, Kung Ku saw his best friend being bullied by other children. He quickly helped him, then beat their leader, and even threatened him not to bother him again. After returning home from school, Fong is seen waiting. She was previously told by her informant about Kung Ku's relationship with the robber, so she followed him. When she got home, Fong claimed that she was Wei's partner, and Wei asked her to look after the house. At night, when Kung Ku and his mother were asleep, here Fong began to launch her action to gather information. However, suddenly the lady of the house woke up and confidently said that Fong was not her husband's partner but a policewoman. She asks what crime her husband has committed, but Fong replies that it's just a small matter. The scene then changes, where Po is discussing business with a millionaire woman named Linam. Linam is interested in auctioning Po's contraband goods, but does not want her business to be known by the police. She proposes that the auction be carried out in the middle of the sea. Linam also warns Po to be careful, because lately many police spies have infiltrated. In the evening, Wei asks Po what to do with these contraband goods. Po tells him that it will be auctioned. Soon, Wei told Cheng about the auction that would be held at sea. Long story short, the next night, Fong was startled by something falling, which turned out to be the hostess who fell from her bed. Fong immediately called the hospital, but the hostess helplessly asked Fong to take care of her son and left a letter for her husband. Seeing the dying hostess, Fong immediately called Kung Ku. He was given a message by his mother to be a good son, not to forget his father and mother. And after that she died. Briefly at the headquarters, while Po and his men were strategizing, Wei's cell phone suddenly rang, where Kung Ku told him that his mother had died. This clearly made Wei speechless. Even he ignored Po's orders and immediately attacked him. But Po's men held him back, which made Po beat him in return. Seeing this, Darky immediately helped him and advised him to leave this place immediately and return home to take care of his son, who was now alone. The next day, Kung Ku and Fong prepare supplies, because Kung Ku asks Fong to take him to Hong Kong so he can meet his father. When Fong accidentally sees a photo of Wei with Cheng, she finally knows that Wei is actually not a criminal, but an undercover police officer. When they arrived at the port, a worker asked if this child was Fong's child, but Kung Ku answered that his mother was named Lena and his father was named Kung Wei. This was overheard by Po's men who were there. Then he immediately told Po. Hearing this, Po immediately told him to kill them, so there was a fight between Kung Ku and Fong against Po's henchmen. In short, while on the way to Hong Kong, Fong told Kung Ku that she was a policewoman, and his father was also probably a policeman on duty as a spy. And the reason why Kung Ku was attacked was because Fong's superiors in the police had circulated his photo. Even Kung Ku's identity and photo also reached Po. Kung Ku, who was now at Fong's house, immediately contacted his father and asked him to come immediately. But while waiting for his arrival, he saw a news on television showing him. Feeling betrayed by Fong, he decides to run away. At the same time, Wei has arrived there and disputes with Fong. Fong at that time trying to explain that it was not her who had spread Kung Ku's identity. She also revealed that before his wife died, she had left a will for Wei. But before their conversation was over, a group of police suddenly came there, which made Wei immediately run away. He then reads the contents of the letter, which basically is a request to take good care of his son and also a request to believe in Fong's words, because she is a good policewoman. Moving on to Kung Ku, he who is currently alone on the streets is suddenly picked up by Po and brought to the headquarters. Of course, Kung Ku's presence immediately surprised Wei, especially after Po asked if Kung Ku was his son. Both Wei and Kung Ku both denied that they were father and son. Where the answer immediately made Po angry and hit Kung Ku's head on the table in front of him. At that time, Wei prevented Darky, who wanted to help him, but when Po was about to beat his son again, Wei immediately acted to prevent, and even strangled his son until he lost consciousness, so that he still gained the trust of Po. Then Kung Ku was thrown into the garbage dump, while Wei was forced to accompany Po to the nightclub. However, he told Fong to save his son. After returning from the nightclub, Wei went straight to the garbage dump where his son was dumped, but while looking for him, It turned out that Po was already there and had guessed that Wei was a cop. Wei was then framed and made a fierce fight with Po unavoidable. Because Po was assisted by two of his henchmen made Wei's resistance more difficult. Fortunately, Fong got there in time and helped Wei escape. The scene changes to Darky, who apparently hid Kung Ku on one of the ships in the harbor. But the next day, Po came there. Fortunately, Darky immediately hid Kung Ku in the water, because after that he was executed by Po for treason. In the midst of dying, Darky asks Kung Ku to contact his father and ask him to come to the auction to thwart Po's crimes. Not wanting Darky's death to be in vain, Kung Ku immediately informs his father and explains the situation that occurred. Information from Kung Ku is also known by Fong because she intercepted their conversation. Later, Kung Ku sneaked onto the surveillance ship and peeked in as Po placed 6 explosives at the auction site. After Po left, Kung Ku immediately beat up his henchmen to take control of the surveillance camera. Kung Ku quickly contacted his father and told him all the locations where the explosives were. Because of the help from his son, Wei easily defused the explosives, but when he was about to defuse the last one, Kung Ku's cell phone unexpectedly ran out of power. When the transaction was in progress, Po immediately launched the action by detonating the linen that had a bomb attached to her shirt. Because in fact, Po only wanted to rob the guests of their property. Fortunately, in that situation, Wei was already there to stop Po. He said that all the explosives installed had been defused. A fierce fight once again took place between Wei and Po, but after that Po's henchmen joined in fighting Wei. Kung Ku, who knew his father was troubled, immediately ran to him to help and fight together to defeat all the enemies. Their cohesiveness made the enemy finally overthrown, but Po blew up one of his men using a bomb. When the situation was critical, Fong came there to help. But he couldn't do much because Kung Ku had been taken hostage and even strangled. Knowing that his son was in danger, Wei decided to shoot Po to save his son. But because of Po's strangulation, Kung Ku is unconscious. When they try to climb to the roof to board the helicopter, Po, who has not died, manually activates the last bomb and drops Wei, while Fong manages to get Kung Ku to the helicopter. Fortunately, Wei quickly defeats Po and escapes before the bomb explodes. At the end of the movie, Fong and Wei are in disbelief after Kung Ku is declared not breathing by the doctor, but it turns out that he managed to regain consciousness after holding his breath for too long. He even expects the presence of a new mother, and the movie ends. What do you think of this movie? Please write your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit the like button and support our channel by subscribing, so that we stay motivated to create more interesting content for you to enjoy. And until next time.